Thank you, everyone. One Hamtramck, I appreciate you putting this gathering so we can speak openly and share our views and opinions on democracy and where democracy is headed, especially in our community, and not only in our community but in the country, as the current president and administration is showing troubling symptoms on our democracy. Let me start by speaking on a little clarity on what happened with emergency manager in Hamtramck. When I first got elected, 2012, city of Hamtramck was going through some troubling time, as many other communities in our size and categories was going through, because of the housing crisis. And those of you that was here then understood with the American Axle situation and the amount of job that was lost, not only because of American Axle having issues, but the surrounding businesses that was affected by American Axle closing. That had a tremendous amount of impact in our revenue and the money that was coming into the city general fund. So with those monies being an issue, and I don't have the books in front of me to give you exact numbers, but those funds were not replenished by any other means when the tax base was gone from American Axle. So instead of having payless paydays in the city of Hamtramck for those good employees that was given their all to service everyone that lived here, the finance department found ways to make sure people got paid, and they found ways not to make the MERS retirement payment for a substantial amount of time. So the MERS payment got behind about $2 million. Once I was elected, we were never clearly brought up to speed on how bad MERS payment was behind. I was still in the learning curve. It's not an excuse. But going forward, when we realized MERS is knocking on our door saying, hey, where is the payment? We need that payment in order to make sure all of the employees have their retirement package intact. Because if you don't make the payment, guess what? You're getting kicked out of MERS, and then you're really in some serious, waters. Only option we had as elected official was to seek loan from the state of Michigan, Department of Treasury. We met numerous times with the Department of Treasury officials. At that point in time, Department of Treasurer was Andy Dillon. I personally, along with Mayor Karen Majewski and Councilman Tom Jankowski, we met with them and their officials, and they set it up. We were not all allowed to meet with them at one setting, the entire council and mayor. They wanted 3 and 3, along one with the mayor and 3 other council at a different time. Maybe because they didn't have room, I didn't know. I was still learning. If they, one of those things that I came in with, that elected officials do their job to their best of their ability, because they're serving the public. They're serving the public's need and making sure that the taxpayers' dollars are spent wisely and appropriately. So we met with Andy Dillon and some of his office staff on few occasions. And let me give you a clarity on what Andy Dillon promised the city official of Hamtramck. We were not Highland Park, and we were not Flint. Hamtramck have a minor hiccup. Those were the words that Mr. Dillon used. That Hamtramck was a minor hiccup that this would be a shotgun approach, 90-day in and out. The state would come in under the emergency law, that they would be able to come in and right-side some of the department and the contract the city was obligated for almost another 2 years we could not touch. But the emergency manager law, as you guys have heard from Kurt report, allowed the emergency manager to modify or even open contract and have some new negotiation aspect be implemented in place. So we were promised that it would be a shotgun approach, 90 days, emergency manager would come in and change or tweak some of the contract so that we were in a position to pay everybody and be able to get the loan, where the loan payment would be set in motion so that we can repay that loan over whatever it was, a 10 years or 20 year, whatever the loan payment would be. So we come back home, we come back to council, we have a work session to discuss what is our best recourse. All of our colleagues, we talk amongst ourselves. The finance department is there, the city manager at that time is there. You know what? We don't want to wait for the state to come in, knock on our door talking about you're in serious financial crisis. We see the need of the state loan as a way for us to correct the pattern or correct our ship going forward. Including myself, we believe that was the best thing to do, was to bring in the emergency manager, not wait for a crisis to happen, but we see the potential of an issue, a potential of a circumstance where we're going to be laying people off or having payless paydays. We wanted to avoid all of those things by having the loan be approved by the Department of Treasury and having the emergency manager come in and open two of our major contracts, which is the fire and police department, and modify some of the things so that everybody can still be employed. We can get the loan to pay the MERS back, and the saving that would come out of those modifications would be to make sure the loan payment is put in place so that the loan would be repaid. As soon as the resolution was passed, I guess the whole mask came off of Mr. Dillon. It was no longer, is this a 90-day process? It was a 2.5-year process on the emergency manager alone. Emergency manager comes in. We were getting basically a couple of bags of peanuts per month. We were not getting a salary like City of Highland Park or City of Detroit as council persons are being compensated. We are, in my opinion, are given gas reimbursement. I believe it's less than $300 a month. So there's no secret. There is no thousands of dollars that's being compensated to your local elected official or your mayor. Your emergency manager that was appointed by the state comes in and cuts our salary. Not all of it, but even a certain percentage of it, even though it wasn't something that was substantial, just to show their authority, just to show that they are capable of doing anything and anything they so choose to. So going into that emergency manager process, she comes in, shuts everybody down. No communication with council or the mayor. No, you know what, here's the problem, let's figure out the solution. Nope. So we were blindsided by the Department of Treasury and the people that was promising us a 90-day process turned into a 2.5-year process. So some of you may have heard, oh, the council allowed or council brought in the emergency manager. Yes, we did, but we didn't bring it under the perception that you may have been led to believe. You have been lied to. And that's their number one agenda, is they will lie and deceive the public along with the elected officials into getting what they want, which is control over local municipalities, especially the minority local municipalities. They cannot go in and lie to, say, Birmingham, Bloomfield, Rochester, Auburn Hills, Royal Oak, because not only will their constituents and the elected official have been aware of their deceptions and some of their tactics on how they get control and how to avoid those state takeovers. Had I been aware and believed that Mr. Dillon would lie to my face, now that I do believe, I don't trust any one individual from the Department of Treasury, from Lansing to Snyder. Rick Snyder would not have a truth conversation with me, because I don't believe these people. They are nothing but liars and deceivers of democracy. They want control, and they want control for themselves. So going forward, that's how the emergency manager came in with no intention of doing any good. As Kurt mentioned, it had a great opportunity to not only shine and polish the jewel that Hamtramck is, but wasted almost 2.5 years just collecting a paycheck. Let me give you one example. When it was time for her to go, we looked in and was getting ready to hire a new city manager that would be in place after she left. The process on hiring a city manager was given to MML, Michigan Municipal League. Have done hundreds, if not more, search for city managers for many other local cities and other government entities. And their guideline, if I'm not mistaken, was from start to finish is about 12 weeks. So emergency manager initiates the search. MML says, whoa, Hamtramck, you're in financial distress. Guess what? We're going to do it for free of charge. MML is going to do it for free of charge. Not a single red cent will be given from the city of Hamtramck, from the taxpayer funds. We'll do it for free. It'll take us 12 weeks from start to finish, and hey, we got our credentials, and you know what we're capable of doing. We're going to find you the best candidate that is going to fit right into this community. Halfway through that process, the emergency manager and the Department of Treasury decides to cancel that contract with MML. Says, hey, MML, we don't want you to do the search no more. We're going to hire this third party at almost $40,000 for the search. And the Department of Treasury is going to pay half of that, and the city of Hamtramck is going to pay half. We all question, like, what is going on with this city or emergency manager? I mean, you're getting MML to do the search for free, and they're halfway done with the process on finding a viable candidate, and you're telling them, stop, you're fired, we're going to hire another firm to do the search at cost? Almost $40,000, where the city of Hamtramck doesn't have the money to pay 20 of that thousand? Doesn't sound right. How they say it doesn't pass the smell test. So of course, we, the elected body at that point in time, do not have a say-so in it. They go ahead and hire this third party, and third party, they do their thing and bring in candidates. Anyways, this candidate is hired by the emergency manager, not by your council or mayor. This was hired by your emergency manager that was here. For whatever reason, this manager and this administration, under the final orders, some of the final orders, as Kurt brought it up earlier, they are good for, still keeping their tentacles and making sure they still got a chokehold on your throat. left some of this final order with this new administration and this new city manager. And this new city manager, for whatever reason, instead of believing that she was hired to be a city manager, got it in her head that she was a new emergency manager. From day one, she acted, responded, and treated everyone as an emergency manager, not as a city manager. So democracy starts falling apart. We were hoping that the emergency manager is gone. Now we have a new city manager. We can start the process of rebuilding our relationship with the administration and the people that was employed by the city, and looking forward to a brighter future on having a working relationship, whether it's good or bad. Democracy have proven one thing is that we debate, we disagree, we agree, but at the end of the day, we move forward on mutually agreed upon on understanding that sometimes I might have to give a little to move to the next issue, and my colleague across the table understands that same philosophy, is that maybe the next day I might have to give a little to move forward to the next issue, so we can debate and progress as a whole, as a community. Well, right off the rip, we try to implement setting an agenda that was mutually agreed upon by council and the colleague of all the council members. It's a council meeting. It is not a mayor's meeting. It's not a city manager's meeting. City manager and mayor are directed to put the agenda together. Not set the agenda, but put the agenda together. So we brought in that we wanted to have public comment at the beginning of the meeting to those that's already there, and give the public that's coming in a few minutes late that they may not make it for the public comment at the beginning, to be allowed to speak at the end of the meeting, prior to maybe the manager's report or the mayor's comments or Mayor Pro Tem's comments or reports. That public be given an opportunity to speak on something that they may have not had the opportunity to speak at the beginning of the meeting. Nope, that's not how we want it. We want to streamline this meeting. We want to only allow people to speak at the beginning of the meeting, or if they don't make it in on time, they don't get a chance to speak. Whoa. Where's the democracy in that? We work for these people. I don't care if they come in 2 minutes before the meeting is over. If they want to speak, we should allow them to speak. Me and some of my colleagues, we argued. Nope, we're not going to do it. That's not going to be on the agenda. Okay. Then we move into another phase that was completely new to me. And the time prior to that I've been on council, or the time that we have always discussed issues pertaining to what's on the agenda during the meeting while it's broadcast and the audience is there to listen and understand what is being debated, what is being argued, what is being passed before council through resolution, and how their money is being spent. So if a council member had a question pertaining to a bill, then not only that council person and the colleague and the mayors heard the argument or debate, but the public, people that elected you to argue those things and question and debate those things, get a chance to hear you as well. We're going to have a work session on the third floor, away from the public broadcasting system, and we're going to have it in a conference area where maybe 1/3 of you will be able to fit in after council, department heads, managers, and everybody else seats. Maybe you'll have room for a few people. Again, I contest that. That's not democracy. Why are we away from the public eye? when we're supposed to be discussing their agenda, their items, their money.